All right, welcome everyone to our Bike Basics class for May's Bike Month. I'm really excited to have Karen on here, and wanted to welcome everyone to one of our live sessions that we're doing for lunchtime throughout May's Bike Month. We did a drop by the shop last week for Peace Health Rides, and throughout this month we'll be doing these little lunchtime live sessions. So thanks for joining us. And next week we're going to be doing the path to becoming a world-class biking city, and we're going to have some really great panelists on to talk about how Eugene can become a world-class bike city and one of the best biking cities in America. Some really academic minds, as well as sort of on-the-ground champions who are working to make it happen at the city level, and I'm really excited about that conversation. For today's event, we're going to be talking about the basics of biking, and we're going to have our league cycling instructor, Karen Goodwin, and the president of Gears kick us off, and she's going to give you some of those bike basics. I want to remind folks that throughout this presentation, that you can leave comments, ask questions, be entered into a prize giveaway. And not only will we have a little giveaway towards the end, but we'll also share a link at the very end of the session that you can get a free lunch. So for taking your time today during lunch, we'll send you a gift card for a free lunch. We'll have a little form to fill out at the end, and you can send that in to us, and we'll send you a free gift card. Karen, I'll hand it over to you. Thanks for joining us. I'm really excited to have this little session with you and hear your thinking on bike basics and what people need to know.
Thanks, Shane. I appreciate it. Thanks for the city for doing this too. It's great. I have worked a lot in bicycle advocacy in my other town of Chico, California, and the city did not do it. We did it, and so I really appreciate the city's efforts on all that you do to promote cycling and safe cycling. And that's what this is about, biking basics. So welcome everyone to the hour-long presentation. This is all based on the American League of American Bicyclists Smart Cycling Program. So it's obviously revised today, but because it's a longer program than this would allow. But basically, we're going to be talking about getting comfortable, following the rules, being safe. And if you want more detail, which there is plenty of, I'll be mentioning it a few times, the bikeleague.org site has downloadable handouts for you. So just to give you a little quick background of myself and why I have come to this point in my life of loving bicycles is that I had horses until I was 15, and I decided I need to get around on my own. So I sold my horse and bought a bike with the money. And ever since, I've been traveling on a bike for pleasure and transportation. Across the country a couple times, self-supported, plus multiple day rides and overnight rides and long treks with my family. My dad started when he was 60, so we got together. And anyway, things evolved, and I became a league certified instructor in 2005 to be able to teach some of the bike safety things that I had been learning. And I just want to mention on the next slide, there's a book that we had to read for our class. It's 577 pages, and we had to read that for the class. So it's a lot of information, and you're going to get a fraction of it and a good summary of it today. So currently, as Shane said, I am president of Gears, the Greater Eugene Area Riders. And we're a cycling club in town. We have a website, eugenegears.org. where we have a lot of information. And I'll tell you a little bit more as we wrap up about that. And also, I'm a coordinator of the Blackberry Bramble that I'll also mention. So, but to launch in, because we have a lot to cover. I don't know if maybe somebody doesn't have a bike that's listening, but so the first thing you need to do is kind of decide what type of riding you are. And even if you are an experienced rider, you can change your riding, or you can include other types of riding. I myself have several bikes for different purposes. So, and this chart shows you all sorts of things that you can, all sorts of types of riding. But basically, you have to decide if you're going to buy a bike, is what type of riding do you want? How much do I want to spend? So, and bikes, they start maybe at 200 and they go up from there, and that the price increases with the type of componentry and quality. One thing I really recommend is buying a bike from a bike shop. You can test out a bike. They can give you information. They can fit you to the bike. If you're just going to go to Costco, which has great prices, or one of the big chain stores, you may get a cheap bike, but it's not necessarily a repairable bike. And as any tool that we use, it needs repair and it needs maintenance. So you want to get something that would suit you. Now, with COVID, we've had a lot of issues with shortages. Bike stores have had trouble getting bikes in stock. And that's likely to change in the coming year because all the manufacturers are ramping up. But they still have some, and they can talk to you about it. So I really recommend going to a bike store. And if that's a good way to try out a bike, if they don't have exactly what you want and you know what you want, you can buy a used bike on Craigslist or eBay. But one issue with used bikes is that they can be stolen. So you don't want to buy that. You don't want to support that industry. So I would, you would find the serial number, check to make sure that it's not stolen. You can ask the person to see the bottom of the bike. It's always on the bottom of the frame, the serial number. Take a picture of that serial number and go check it out online on bikeregister.com/bike checker. You can just Google it and say, how do I check a serial number on a bike? And you'll find it. But that way you can know that you don't have a hot bike. You want your bike to be cool, not hot. Basically the different types of riding and the kind of for this purpose, we'll just talk about, road riding is usually drop handlebars with more gear or gears and narrow tires. So those, if you're going on a long distance, that's a very comfortable ride, and it will give you the efficiency that you need. If you want to do just around town or path riding, and you want a hybrid or a comfort bike, that's a good way to go. I actually have a mountain bike that I use as a transportation bike because it's comfortable, it's upright, and I can see better. It's got wider tires to handle a little more road conditions. So, and now they're making gravel bikes. They got everything. So really, it's kind of a matter of what you want to get and what you want to ride. So, and then after that, you go, we have a little picture of equipment that you might want to get in the next slide. And I have a picture of all my locks. There's a variety of locks. You want a good lock. I've had 2 bikes stolen. It's not fun. You want to really lock it up. And they both were stolen by a cable lock that you see at the bottom that was just snipped. Very easily done. So we recommend that you use a U-lock. They're a lot safer. They actually have ratings on the lock. But one policeman told me in Chico, California, that big bike stealing town too, was you want to spend at least 10% of your bike cost on a lock. So it's an investment, it's insurance. Anyway, and then other equipment, you want to like if you want to carry stuff, if you're going to work, you can use a pannier or your basket or a trailer. There's one, Burley, our local company, has one that I saw somebody ride the other day, and it looks so fun. And I was riding by him, and I go, "Hey, how's that to pull?" And he goes, "Great. I've had it 6 months. I can barely tell it's there. I love it." So lots of options. But bike stores can help you through that system. And then, of course, lights and reflectors are legally mandated, and another cheap way of ensuring your life is safe. So that bike stores can help you with as well. But one thing on the next slide, I want to talk about quickly adjustments. And one thing that when I first had a bike, I got a bike and I rode it, and I didn't even know that I could change it in any way. It was, I just thought, this is it. So if it didn't fit me, it was me, but that's not true. It's the bike. Once you get basically the right size, like standover height, there's a little comfortable space between you and the top frame, the top tube, then you can do other things with the bike, like the seat adjustment, moving it up and down, forward, backward. And this slide shows that your saddle height should be high enough that there's a slight bend in your knee. It is not a good idea to be sitting on a seat and being touching the ground, because you're not getting a good angle for your knee. And that's a tool too, and you want to keep that knee healthy. So it's once you get comfortable and adjust your bike in a way that makes you feel good, and you should feel good on a bike. If you don't feel good on a bike, you should talk to your bike mechanic, or they do bike fits, your physical therapist. Depends on how much you ride, but it's a good investment to make sure that your bike is fitting, and there are little adjustments that could be made. So, okay, you're fitting well, and you're ready to ride. So the next slide shows the ABC quick check, and that you just want to do when you're if you haven't ridden in a while, or you just want to make sure your bike is good, and it will help prevent maintenance problems in the future. So the next slide talks about what all that is. A, obviously, is for air, and that is probably one of the most overlooked features of the ABC Quick Check. Is the air. Is that people think, oh, there's air in the tire, it's pumped up, it's not flat. But the air pressure is important for your speed of riding, your comfort level of riding, and to know how much to pump it up to, whether you're using a gasoline, a station hose pump, or you have your own pump, there's a little PSI number on the sidewall of your bike, and you can look for that. So you can pump it up to that pressure level. B, for brakes, you want to make sure they're working, not squeaking, they're right on the rim, the brake pad is not worn, you'll hear it if it's not working properly, and also you won't be able to stop. So and then C is for cranks, chain, cassette. Most important here that you would probably be looking at is your chain. You don't want a rusty chain. You want to lubricate it regularly, and you want to keep it clean. Make sure that's working. They wear out. Everything wears out these days, and you will, depending on the number of miles you ride, you will have to replace your chain. It's not like your chain is forever. You do have to, just like your car, you have to change spark plugs or whatever all the oil. You have to do maintenance. So it's the same with the bike. Then if you have a quick release, you want to make sure they're down, tight and secure. And then you just want to check the bike overall and take a short ride, make sure that everything's working properly. So, okay, then you're ready to ride. And one of the things that that's good, makes a bike more comfortable to ride, is shifting. And that that helps you go, if you're climbing a slight hill or you're going downhill, you want to feel comfortable. There's cadence, and you want your cadence to kind of remain the same. And that shifting will change the effort involved with that. So there's a lot to this, but it's not, again, it's like you can shift, you can change. A lot of people that buy a bike, they just don't know how to shift it. But go into a very safe parking lot, I suggest, and shift around, and you'll see, you'll start learning, oh, generally on the left side, if you have two sprockets in the front, that controls major movement, and all the little cogs in the back, little sprockets, are control minor movement. So you get to learn that. It's just practice. But if anybody has any questions on that, we can talk about that later. But feel free to shift. So then, okay, you're on the road, and how do you do it? And this is my favorite saying of all times. My husband gets tired of me hearing it, but cyclists fare best when they act and are treated as drivers of motor vehicles. You are a vehicle on the road. If you're on the road, you just have to act like a vehicle. Like, if you're really like your car, you got a Volkswagen Bug and you can't keep up with the traffic, you move to the right. Same, but you don't go off into the gutter. You just, as safe as possible, you move to the right. So think about that in terms of your cycling is just follow the law. If you're a car driver, and most of us are, do what you do as a car. If you think of yourself as that way, and and then drivers treat you that way, it's best scenario for your safety. So you have the same rights and duties. You have you have to obey all traffic signs, and then stay safe. So the other components of being safe on the road is being predictable, riding in a straight line, not dodging in between cars. Assuming if you're going to make a turn, you're going to let people know, which we'll get into in a little bit. But you don't want to make any surprise moves for anybody, because they have your bigger troubles out there, the cars, they have a little slower time to react, and they're not as agile. So you have to be predictable for them. Be visible. That's why a lot of cyclists wear funny looking clothing, but whether you wear your street clothes or a comfortable Lycra outfit, you want it to be colorful and visible, with lights and clothing. And then just plan ahead. Just figure out your steps. Try to think of a route that might be safer. And City of Eugene has bike maps. And Google, even if you Google and you show that you're on a bike route, it will probably take you in a different direction, a different way to get to your destination. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, this is one, scanning. It does a couple things. It gives you the power, and it also communicates to the drivers that you are looking. They've done tests, and they've seen that people that move their head when they scan, they're looking around. You're scanning the area and the perimeter, and you're seeing the dangers, hazards in the road, other drivers, other car drivers, other bicyclists, pedestrians. And everyone, that movement actually communicates to the driver that you are a person that has the right to the road. So it's really a helpful thing. One issue about scanning, though, is if you're not used to it, often people will turn the way they're looking, and you want to practice holding onto your handlebars and riding straight and still looking. So you're not moving your bike, because you want to be riding predictably in a straight line. Then from once you've scanned, and say you want to signal, in the next slide we talk about signaling, and that's really, You want to scan first, and then let the driver know where you're going. If you're making a left-hand turn, you hold your arm straight out. If you're making a right-hand turn, you can either hold your right arm straight out, or with your left arm do the crossover thing. And I kind of do it. I choose my right-hand turn based on whether people are coming at me, how they would see my arm the best is basically it. And then once you signal, you want to kind of scan again, make sure no one's jutted forward into your space, and also alerting people to know. And then you can also kind of use that top animated cyclist has their hand down, letting someone behind you know that you're slowing down. That's a nice practice too. So, there are ways to make this safer, and really by acting as a driver, another driver of vehicle on the road is the safest behavior. And we always get mad at people when they don't signal. So you can imagine when car drivers are upset with cyclists who don't signal. So principles of traffic laws, they're, like I've said, people on bikes have the same rights and responsibilities as drivers of motor vehicles. And in all 50 states, cyclists are required to follow the laws just like car drivers. So we're going to start talking about, different ways of doing that. And this sounds, and this is a lot of information. I understand that it can be overwhelming, but if you always think back to what's safe, how they're going to see me, and cars are looking for other cars. So if you're far off to the right, and they think they can pass you, because I think everyone, the car driver behind you is only thinking about getting past you. They're not thinking about anything else. So sometimes you have to position yourself. If the road is too narrow for them to pass you safely, you have to take the lane. You have to get in the middle of the lane and prevent them. Very few accidents actually occur behind you. So they actually, the chances of getting hit, especially in traffic like that, are very minimal. But signaling to them by taking that lane is really important. So another thing about positioning is speed positioning. You want to, that's kind of like, okay, if you're a slower driver, then you're moving over to the right, and generally you should also pass, just like a car, around the left. If you squeeze in a car on the right, or even another cyclist, that is not where anybody's looking for you. So you want to go around the right or around the left. So you want to just take your speed and your timing, your positioning, physical positioning in the road, all into considerations. And also, if you're on the right, cars have a blind spot, so that's another important point. So, okay, we're getting to the intersection where most accidents actually happen, and this is where you want to be particularly, you always want to be cautious, but this is where you need to take some care and have confidence. The league puts out a confident cycling class, and a lot of it, I always say cycling is psychological. If you want, you think you can do it, I can ride 20 miles, but really you can. It's just a matter of doing it, practicing it, and then getting over that fear of it. Well, it's the same thing with like, oh, I can't go in that lane because I'm a bike, but you can, because you've signaled, you've scanned, you've signaled, and you're letting people know that you are getting over. Obviously, you're not doing it in front of somebody, just like you wouldn't do it in a car. But so the intersection positioning, this is really critical. Your position. So you want to be on the rightmost lane that serves your destination. So you can see this person's going straight. they want to go straight, but there's 2 right-hand lanes. So they have to scan, signal, and get over to that a lane that's going straight. You don't want to be hooked with a right-hand turn into where a car comes at you. If this is all too intimidating before you get comfortable, if you're new to cycling, then you're always free to take the option of becoming a cyclist or a pedestrian. So you can get off, press the crosswalk button, and cross that way, and then get to your destination. You want to be comfortable. And then when you get to those lights and those intersections, there's always, like a question: is the light going to change for me? Is it catching me? Most lights are supposed to have a trigger point, and in the next slide we kind of show that. There's usually like a little bike. There it is, the bike and the little thing. That's a trigger point for letting your bike will activate so that the traffic light knows you're there, but it doesn't always work. And when it doesn't, you can complain to the city about it, and they're fairly responsive. The other thing, that there's push buttons for crosswalks, particularly for bike crossings, but if they don't have one for bike crossing, you can kind of ride up to the pedestrian one and push the button. So you want to trigger the light, and you do have to wait for the light. That stop sign rule doesn't count for the traffic lights. And speaking of the stop sign rule, it is now legal in Oregon to slowly go through. Once you've decided that it's safe, you can treat the stop as a yield sign. So if it's your turn and you have the right to go forward without stopping, you can do it without stopping. So that just happened, I think, this year. So anyway, and you kind of also, when you're getting into that position, to go back to the positioning thing on these trigger lights, you don't want to get to the far right side. You want to reposition yourself if you're going straight, and that's a right-hand turn. You want to get over to the straight line. So let's see. I think the next side covers this is tricky because everyone thinks you're safer. Oh, I'll just get on the sidewalk. There's too much traffic. But the sidewalk is not necessarily a very safe place. There's a lot of accidents that happen because cars don't see that you're on the sidewalk. They're looking at the McDonald's that they're turning into. They're not looking to see if there's somebody on the sidewalk. And so you often get right hooked or left hooked when you're on the sidewalk. Everyone's looking out for the bigger fish that's going to get them, and cars are looking for other cars. They're not necessarily looking. So that's another reason why you need to act like it and treat yourself like you're a driver of a motor vehicle. So sometimes that you can choose to ride on the sidewalk. If you do, you want to be careful. It's the pedestrians' terrain. So you want to let them go, and yield to them. And the other thing is, you can just become a pedestrian if you feel uncomfortable and you want to ride on the sidewalk. But that's a very common mistake, to think that the sidewalk is a safe place to ride. And in some places, it's actually illegal to ride on the sidewalk. My husband got a ticket for riding on the sidewalk in Chico one time. So, and you can get tickets for traffic violations as a cyclist. They all same apply. We don't usually get speeding tickets though. So on the next slide, Shane's pointing out that it's illegal to ride on the sidewalk in downtown Eugene and some parts of the campus. So that's good to know. So bicycle facilities. You know, we're all safer as cyclists if there's more people cycling. The higher the numbers, I mean, you see pictures of Amsterdam, and I've been there. I've seen like just hundreds of people at every intersection, every roadway. They own the road, and they very few traffic accidents. And they establish systems that make it very comfortable and safe for cycling. That's what we mean by bike facility. It's not necessarily a locker that you put your bike in, although that can happen. But this is more like the road constructions that facilitate cycling, and there's lots of different uh, things that would fall in that category. Like this example it's a one-way bike path that's buffered, and you can see those little posts, and they are separating the cyclist from the traffic. Um, and then there's the two-way bike lane, which is like an example is on 13th Avenue now in Eugene, that has a particular light at every intersection for the cyclist, two-way divided with a little line. So that's a good example. Another one that one of my favorites is the raised bike lane, and there's one out off Delta Acres that Gears has several rides that follow that path, and it's great because you're on this main road, and suddenly you can get onto this raised bike path, bike lane that is separated from cars and from pedestrians. So the sidewalk is there, and then the raised bike path, and then the road. So everyone's got their place. To me, that's great. I really like it. It's really easy to get on and off, and it's a great example of a good bike facility. Another one that's pretty easy to do for most cities is a sharrow. Those are those couple arrows pointing the same direction, and it just is like the name implies. It's an arrow to share the road, that both cars and cyclists have the right to be in that lane, and it's shared. There's all sorts of really high codes between what's legal to pass and not, whether you're in a car or in a bike. But sharrows generally are on roads that are too narrow for a car to pass a cyclist. So that kind of reminds everybody that, okay, we're in this together. You can ride and share the road. And of course, there's off trails, paths that are completely away. They're not buffered. They're just, no cars go on them, like the river path, which is great. And you do have to share it with pedestrians, and you have to abide by kind of courtesy laws that I don't believe there's a speed limit, although Gears, the group I'm with, we always go 15, or it's our intent to go 15 miles or less, and pass single file, always tell people we're on your left, ring our bell, thank people for moving over. So there's lots of options, but we like to obey, kind of a civil law for that. So, and in addition, there's in the next slide, I'm going to show you a safe, another bike facility that's very comfortable, called a bike box. And this really demonstrates to everyone, particularly the car drivers, that this is the area that bikes should be in. It's kind of like giving bikes a head start at the light. So you position yourself at this bike box at the beginning, when it's red, and so that you can take off and you can be in the right lane to your destination. So say, like, typically there might be a right-hand turn at this, but if you're in that bike lane, they're going to see you. They're not, they're going to wait for you to move forward in your preferred direction. So this is a really safe, and it's pretty easy for a lot of cities to do. It's still not applied, although I can think of a couple examples. Well, one, oh gosh, it escaped me now, but I've been on it. Oh, right by the Beltline and River Road is a good example of the green line, green lane that makes you. And I live off River Road, so I really appreciate when I have to get up to the stores up there, this lane, because it's, I'm a confident cyclist, but it's a lot of traffic. So those kind of measures really help you feel more comfortable. And I'd like to say that take a little moment to plug that Oregon passed a bike bill 50 years ago, the first state to do it, I think, where they spend 1% of their highway funds for pedestrian and bike facilities. And that was 50 years ago. And I think Oregon's done better than most states, but there is so much more to be done. And now there is currently a bill called SB 395 that is in our state legislature in committee right now, trying to get out and voted on for a 5%, an increase of 5% to 5% to spend on these types of bike facilities and others for pedestrians, crosswalks, all sorts of things. So if you think to contact your representative, state representative, let them know that you're in favor of more bike facilities and tell them to pass 395. We're hopeful that something will come of that. So let's see. We've got this is kind of my and I in case anyone has any questions, we'll get to them very soon. The most important thing, I think, is just communicate what you're doing. Let people know. I mean, we talked about scanning, that movement of your head. Oh, it kind of grabs people's attention. But your body language will look. I mean, if you're just really looking straight ahead, then you're closed in your own world. You want to look around and let people know that you're there. Eye contact, we have so little of it. This is really important. When I'm at a light, I get eye contact. I don't want to trust people that they saw me. My dad taught me that when I was driving, when I was 16, he said, always be on the defense, never assume that everyone sees you. And so I've applied that to my bike riding, and eye contact makes me sure that people have seen me. So I highly recommend it. And then also eye contact with other cyclists or pedestrians. We're all in this together. So, and that eye contact is that's one of the pleasures of riding, is that you are connecting with your environment. And eye contact is one way to let people know. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, passing on your left when you're, on the bike paths, or even on a road, on our ride, when our Gears rides, when we're in groups and we're passing, we let people know, because maybe they didn't notice that somebody was coming up behind them. So, you can ring your bell and signaling, and all those things are really just letting people know what you're thinking, because no one can read your mind. So kind of in wrapping up some of this stuff, I just wanted to point out some resources. The bikeleague.org has great online interactive trainings, information. So I highly recommend that program. The League of American Bicyclists has been around since 1880. The reason we have roads is because they advocated for them, right, for bikes. And then the car came along, but they got the ball rolling, and it's changed names over the years, but it's been the same advocacy organization. And they're the people that bring you bike-friendly cities, bike-friendly universities, bike-friendly businesses. And they've really set the standard for a standardized curriculum, and so that we're all talking, we're all on the same page. And they have great tips. There's just a lot of experience in there. Gears is a member of the League of American Bicyclists. So, and you can be as an individual too. So, but you download their stuff for free. You don't need to be a member of them. And then there's the Eugene Springfield Bike Map. And WeBikeEugene.org, which has a lot of all these programs for Bike Month. The iBike Eugene app, which I think is the Ride Report app. You can download, put them on your phone, and then if you come across a signal trigger that's not working, you can say that, or a hazardous condition, or too much debris on the road, you can report that. And I think that there's been good response from reporting those. And then eugenegears.org, we have plenty of information on our website. We have rides. It's a very friendly group. There are fast rides, but there are slow rides, and I'll just be discussing those on the next slide. Great. You see that there's a new bike map tool coming up and a new app, so that's great news. But as far as Gears goes, we always have great events. I think it's a great group. It's really been a friendly, welcoming way to learn about the routes around here. I would never have been able to find my way through Springfield without riding on Gears routes, and then North Eugene as well. So we regularly have monthly scheduled routes and rides, and they have the sign up. For COVID, we've got the sign up protocol where you have to sign up so we can do contact tracing and also know who's on the ride. Then you can sign the waiver, and you don't have to be a member to sign up. You just have to sign up before you meet us at the ride. Generally, our rides start at Alton Baker Park. But we have specific group rides for beginning cyclists during May. May 13th at 6 p.m. we have a 17-mile. We have two 17 miles rides on May 13th and May 20th, both starting at 6 p.m. at Alton Baker. And they're 17 miles, 8 to 10 miles per hour. Pretty much everyone can do that pace. We have no drop rides. Even on the faster pace rides, the leader waits for the slowest person. And then on May 16th, we have a 29-mile ride that's a 10 to 12 mile that Tyler leads, and it's a great route on the McKinsey View. And then a Memorial Day ride, a 10 to 13 mile per hour ride that's it's scheduled. If you go to the website at eugene.org and you go to the ride schedule, you'll see it listed as a 40-mile, but you could break out of that if you didn't want to go 40 miles. There's a section in town that's fun. And Mel, who a longtime member of Gears, is taking people on a tour of cemeteries for Memorial Day. And then we have the Blackberry Bramble coming up. It's our 21st anniversary. And we are spending 21 days, the first day, 1st of August to the 21st. It's do-it-yourself ride or ride it guided. So you will have signups for group rides that you could join and do the ride, or you can do it yourself. And that's at eugenegears.org. And actually, we have a specific site which you can access through our website, or go to directly to theblackberrybramble.net. And that great support from the community. We have ice cream from Prince Puckler's. We have Claim 52 is treating us to beverages. Mucho Gusto is going to be our dinner. So, and then we have like these great little backpacks that you can get and carry some of your food. There won't be support on the ride in terms of rest stops, or mechanical, but you can we will have patch kits, so you can learn how to patch kit or patch a tire and have your own patch kit. So it'll be great fun. And basically, we really we'd be happy to answer any questions. We also have another really big, great intro to gears riding on May 26th at 5:30 p.m. It's on our website, so check it out. That way you can meet people and find out more about gears riding. So I encourage you to try that out. Some of the ride leaders will be there to answer questions on their particular type of style of riding and whatnot. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
Looks like we got one from Working for a Living asking about your favorite bike shop in town.
Well, I can't say that as president of Gears.
They're all great, right?
They're all great. And, I meant to say that about buying a bike. A lot of the bikes are very similar. That for the price range that you're interested in, whether it's a Specialized or a Trek or, there's lots of different brands, but those are two of the big ones. And at a certain price level, they're all the same. Get it from the bike shop you like. You get a vibe, you go in, if people are nice to you, go back to them, because you want to develop a relationship with your bike shop. So if you go into a bike shop and they're not nice to you and you don't feel well received, then try another one. I would also suggest trying to get one in your area, like your area of town. So they're kind of spread out. We have Clinks at Upriver Road. Bicycle Way of Life has several. Lens Bikes in Springfield, Hutch's downtown.
And some of it depends on what kind of bike. Some shops focus on one, might carry different kinds, but sort of have a general theme of a road bike shop or more of a mountain bike kind of shop. And, a lot of them, even if they have a focus, carry different kinds, but there are certainly shops with a focus. And so you kind of find, the shop that is good for you in location and good for you in the style. And then this is a great question here about rides that we're doing, and applies to both Gears and Maya's Bike Month. What kind of COVID precautions are we taking for group rides and other special events? You want to speak to the Gears rides? And
yeah, we since we started, we shut down rides in last March, and then started them back up in July, after we felt like the evidence was pretty clear that being outside was okay. But we do we have people sign up. When they sign up Genius, they have to attest to not having any symptoms of COVID, not having any exposure. So they have to let us know, and really encourage not to come if you're feeling sick. Also, keeping distance 6 feet apart. We used to limit our ride numbers to 10 in the group, but since the Lane County Department of Health has not put that limit on, we've expanded it a little bit, but still people spread out. No one's grouped together. We do encourage, of course, everyone's asked, they have to wear a mask when they stop and go in someplace. So that's what we do.
Yeah, and for Maya's Bike Month, we are encouraging people to hold rides and to do COVID safe events. And so we have a sort of a checklist of things that we ask ride organizers to do for the events. And there's a form that you can fill out to host an event. And part of that is agreeing to these precautions. So yeah, it's definitely, having that flexibility and being able to get together outside and do these rides. I think it's a really healthy way for people to be able to, celebrate Bike Month and just to, be out and active in these, COVID times and be safe. So I know we also had Rachel Farkas join us, and wanted to say thanks to Gears for doing this. So I think there's some good information shared. And I don't think we have any other questions right now. If anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to throw them into the chat there.
I wanted to say I forgot one of our upcoming events that I'm really excited about, and Rachel reminded me. Just thinking, we're Gears. We do have predominantly. There's more men in the group than women, which I'm trying to change. I mean, that's kind of a typical pattern throughout the U.S. That there are more men riders than women. But so we're doing some special things for the Bramble and training rides. So upcoming on May 23rd, we're doing a hill climbing ride for women. We have 2 expert women coming from Salem that are going to give tips on how to ride, and we're going to actually do a hill climb. So, like that whole psychological thing I was mentioning about cycling the psychological, we're going to get you over that hill on that clinic. So and you have to sign up for that, but it's on our website as well.
Great. EugeneGears.org. All right. Great. And then I mentioned that, folks who were joining us, that we would share a free lunch with you for taking your time over lunch. So this is the link. So if you can't, it's not hot linked, but you can, type it in because it's a short one. It's bit.ly /3EYFF003. And if you go there, there's a form to fill out. Just fill out a form and we'll send a free lunch card your way. And then we didn't have many folks leave any comments, but we had a few. We'll see if we can do this. I think there were a couple comments from Gears and the city and myself, so we'll pull those out. If anyone else wants to leave a comment, we can do a quick drawing. Let me take this off here. And then, Karen, I don't know if you have any other sort of recommendations for people of like where else they can get more information if they want to learn more about bike education and some of them in your resources, but
yeah, I mean, I think yours has a good amount of information on theirs and lots of links to other places. So, it's not a one-stop shop, but it definitely can lead you to other places. The Street Trust is something that, I get newsletters from that gives information about like the SB 395, Better Eugene Springfield Transportation.
Yeah.
That you can get a newsletter from them to find out about kind of bicycle facility issues, and infrastructure, I guess, is what they talk about. But really, I don't know. It's just getting out and doing it, the rides, and not being getting over any kind of fear that you have of it by just practicing and getting out there. And the more you do it, the safer you are. We're talking about the numbers you're safer in numbers. The more people riding, the more people see bicyclists. The more you ride, the safer you are because your experience level goes up. So even if you ride, if you're a fair weather rider, it's a little more challenging to ride when the conditions are not so prime. But the more you do that riding in non-prime conditions, the safer you are because you get better handling skills. It's always challenging.
Right. Great. Just want to give a shout out to Simon who joined us from Ohio. And then we're also going to do a drawing now. So let's see how this works because this is our first time trying the StreamYard, which is the platform we use. They're a new drawing tool. And so you'll see it's going to flicker through here on the different people who made comments. And we'll see who wins this. And if one of the people we know, I won. So that's fun.
Are you sure you didn't pull that trigger there?
wonder how many times we'll have to draw to get. Ah, look at that.
Just take one of us out to lunch.
All right, there you go. I think I think that since we only had 2 comments. Oh, there we go. Working for a living. All
I
right, so
love
we'll get in
that.
touch with you. Hopefully, working for a living. The confetti piece there. That's fun. That's good. That was a good trial for us to try out. So working for a living, who asked us about the favorite bike shop in town. Hopefully you'll leave a comment leave something in the forum. Otherwise, we'll just try and reach out to you over social media. So yay. All right. So thanks for everyone for joining us, and to Karen for being our league cycling instructor and giving a great overview. I think that's some really good basic information. And what I love about doing these live stream events is not only can people join us live, but then this is available on our YouTube channel and on the Gears page for people to go back to at any point and watch and have a good sort of reference. And just to remind people that, reach out to Gears, reach out to the City of Eugene if you have questions about cycling. We hope to do more of these kind of events and Q&As and, help people any way we can to feel comfortable getting out riding their bike. And, it's May is Bike Month, so it's a great time to get out and enjoy all the different rides that are happening throughout Eugene.
Yeah, I'd like to say that even if you didn't join a Gears ride, but you wanted to know more about where to ride, we have a great route library on our website. They're just with all sorts of different directions of the lane county to go in, the length, the difficulty level. And we offer that for free to anybody looking up ways where to go.
All right. Great. Wonderful. Let's see. Thanks so much. And thanks for joining us. And thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Shane. Take care.
Right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.